welcome to the CCIM chat here in the CCIM Illinois Mentorship Program. And we are happy to welcome and introduce to some and reintroduce to others our president-elect for the CCIM Illinois chapter, Chirayu Patel. Chirayu is going to be speaking to you about his CCIM experience, becoming a CCIM, what that process involves. And towards the end, we'll do a quick 15-minute Q&A for those who may have questions. So Chirayu, thank you for coming and take it away.
Thank you. First of all, Sean, thanks for hosting me and having, leading the mentorship program. I've been hearing about it since for the last few years now. As you know, I have been getting involved in the local chapter community about a little bit over a year plus, right? So, just to sort of get into it, nice to see all of you, take your lunchtime away to come listen to me speak. But, just to briefly introduce myself, I work, my name is Chirayu Patel. I work as the Director of Asset Management for DL3 Realty Advisors. We are a local real estate firm based out in right in the city, in the Loop. The company itself has been a family company. It's been around for 50 plus years now. And they started specifically in, childcare, like developing childcare centers and medical centers. And then I joined about 5 years ago here, doing asset management, and now sort of leading and overseeing our investment fund that we have. All of our projects are in the city of Chicago, or I should say the Chicago metro area. And we do primarily ground up redevelopment, adaptive reuse of sites across Chicago, and specifically focus on, as I mentioned, sort of the retail centers, specialized office, and then we're also trying to work on some new industrial development. Again, all within the geographic area of the Chicago MSA area. A little bit about myself. I've been in the industry for about 10 years now. I was specifically before working for a multifamily fund that used to invest in Chicago as well before I joined DL3. And my experience primarily has been doing acquisitions, redevelopment, and then of course divestment. And so that's been my experience. CCIM, I actually started in late 2016, early 17, with my first CI 101 course right in person, at the Realtor building they offered in the city. And so that was my first course that I took. I was trying to get a little bit more, get my skill sets up to date, specifically because I was working in commercial real estate, and I really wanted to get my underwriting skills, like analysis skills up, and CCIM is what I came across. And at the time, I started with 101, trying to see if this would be the right path for me. And, through the in-person coursework, I met very similar people in my boat that are trying to sort of up their skills in real estate and then, go into commercial. And I took one, like now that I think about it, I basically took at least in the first 2 years, one course a year. So 101 in 17, 102 in 18, and then in 19, I took both of them, 103 and 104, beginning and end of the year, to just sort of get that out of the way. And then I was gonna get pinged in 2020, and then of course we all know what happened. So I sort of paused for a year, and then I got pinned in 2021 in Indianapolis, actually, spring of 2020. But my experience, I'm not sure how many on the call are already CCIM, but I think one of my bigger takeaways from CCIM was first, obviously, the education, right? Understanding the resources and research and how commercial practitioners take a look at deals, right? At the end of the day, commercial is a little bit different than resi because we're focused, all of the users and investors are focused on what is my investment going to return, whether it's 1 year from now, 3 years from now, or 7 or 10 years from now. And that is what CCIM really helped me see. And then the other thing is sort of the membership is the networking that comes through CCIM. You're connecting and you're able to connect with people that are already in the field and in practitioners of commercial real estate. So that sort of opens up your doors to connect with people in the industry, as well as see if this is the right fit for you. And my pathway to commercial real estate wasn't entirely straight from college either, right? My first job out of college was actually doing community organizing, believe it or not, on the north side near Devon Avenue, where Little India is. So like I was doing community organizing, but through that, like the skill set that I learned is that, at the end of the day, people that are in real estate understand the importance of connecting with people, understanding their needs, that even though they may not need real estate today, they might need it tomorrow. And so part of the skill set that I learned is to be able to connecting. And that's what's really helping me sort of advance in my current career, especially post CCIM and getting involved in there. So that's generally the overview. I know that people here are in the mentorship program are trying to figure out if CCIM is the right pathway for them. And it is an investment not only of money and time, but also your energy, right? And so I think that one of the things that I would highlight is that, like, for me, it has been a great experience so far. And then at the end of the day, yes, the classes and the portfolio look daunting, but if there's one takeaway that you have from this talk is that focus on connecting and networking with people, and I wouldn't worry about the coursework or the portfolio. Over time, as you build on those relationships, you'll be able to get that accomplished, in a fairly short order. And so that's the brief overview. Let me know if there's any specific questions that people may have that I can address, or any aspects of the process that I can answer.
Thank you for that, Chirayu. Do you want to chime in? You were mentioning you took your classes starting in, I believe, 2016, you said, and there are four core classes as well as some electives that are required for the path of the CCIM pen. Did you have to take the courses in order at the time that you took courses? 101,
I took them in order. And
Okay.
I think that you don't necessarily have to take them in order, but I believe 101 is a prerequisite for the remaining three. And the electives, I think you can take them. I don't think they have to be in order, but I know the 101 is the first coursework that I started with. And I think that from my perspective, at least, the basic financial analysis, I think, is a good way to get your feet wet if you think that commercial is the real estate is the focus that you want to do. I think it's a good sort of a filter for most people that are in the brokerage world to see if that's the right pathway for them.
And did you take a break in between any of your coursework, or did you just go straight through as they were available, and were they all in person?
No, I took them all of in person. So there was a break, in the sense that I would take one course a year, so to speak. So, I took 101, and then I waited until I think 2018 for 102 in spring. And I purposely took them in person because I'm more of a structured person. I think there was the last course I took was a hybrid. I think we had some hybrid courses, which was that you do the coursework and then there's like a weekly Zoom call or a meetup. But most of the courses that I took were in person in Chicago at the Realtor building. And I wanted to do that because I thought I would connect with other people, network with other people in the class.
That makes sense. And I would imagine you guys are still kind of connected. Those classmates that you had, you still have relationships to this day.
To this day, indeed. In fact, like, I'm actually reaching out now to some of them because I'm the incoming president to see like how, as you know, to get engaged. And so like trying to get engaged more people that I just ran into one person last week, and I was like, "Hey, did you finish?" She said she finished her coursework, but she needs to work. So I was like, I'm trying to encourage her to get back into the, the portfolio, finish up that and get her in. So fingers crossed on that. Yeah.
Excellent. And I don't see any questions popping in the chat. I'm asking the questions that I've seen from
Yeah.
surveys that we've had. And one of the questions was the portfolio requirements. Some people may find that daunting, not just the coursework, but then now the portfolio requirements, right? They're just getting into commercial. They're very interested in it. They're taking these courses, but the portfolio requirements sometimes stumps people because they don't have that volume, right? What are
Yeah.
some suggestions or some things you could recommend for that? Again, they're new to commercial.
Yeah, so absolutely. And I think that the coursework is daunting, right? I think there's three different ways that they look at it in terms of like volume and the number of transactions. One piece of advice that I would have is that I would find a brokerage or a managing broker that is active and focused on deals, that the type of deals that you would want to do, right? That you see yourself doing it. So after you've taken your 101, so and you are sort of in it, and I would find a company or an organization or a person that you think is doing the right deals and work for them and get the experience. And then, I think the way the portfolio, it may seem daunting today just by looking into it, but as you get into a company or an organization where you're exposed to the deals, you'll soon realize that the amount of work that you are doing will be helpful and that will quickly add up to your portfolio. For example, me included, that was one of the most daunting things. What really helped me is that even though I had some transactions before I joined DL3, what really helped me at DL3 was that in a short order, I was able to like complete the remainder of the transactions. I did the 10 transactions for the total volume and the real kickers were like, just in a matter of time at DL3, within 2 years, I was able to get, meet my requirement because just of the succession of transactions that came through. And so I think um, the other piece that helped me was documenting all of it, right? Early on in my career, I was not, even though I had my license, I wasn't doing as many brokerage because people were still trying to get to know me, didn't know, if I had the skill set. Early on in my life, because of my job function was primarily in underwriting, financial analysis, and reporting, when I would evaluate deals or the deals that I would work on, our team would look over the financial underwriting I done, right? So I would build financial models, the things that, like the models that you will learn in the CCIM coursework, and then have my staff members or my supervisor review those and sign off. So there was documented coursework, or at least work related to CCIM portfolio that I was able to document in like one Google folder so that when it came time to portfolio, I was able to pull that all together and submit for my submission. So that's the other piece of takeaway or advice for people that seem a bit overwhelmed by that. It'll initially it may seem that this you'll never get there, but I think once you have a couple of wins, like the other ones will keep coming.
I like how you shared that it's not a rush. This is not a rush type situation. You're right. You're building those relationships. You're building up those transactions. You're getting that support from the brokerage that you went to, even though you had transactions prior to, and you were still able to accomplish that within, I think, 2 years that you said, which is you did one class a year for your coursework and
Yeah.
your transactions within the next 2 years after you finish your coursework.
Not all of them, but at least getting to that finish line. So before I joined DL3, I had about like 6 transactions or something to that effect, right? And so I think in terms of like my transactions, I was keeping track of them from 2016, right? So I
Okay.
did have like about 5 to 6 transactions. But what really helped me is that when I joined DL3 and what they were focusing on, I was like, oh, these are the types of projects and the deals I want to work on. It was one of the ways that I got connected with DL3 and then got hired. And then so what happened in quick succession is that like I was able to get 4 deals in 2 years, which and they were fairly sized, right? Which was like, some of that stuff, it's just like most of the times you're just swinging and maybe getting a 1 hit or 2 hit, right? If you're just taking base one, but sometimes you just have to put in that networking and the work beforehand for it to sort of pay off in 2 years at a different rate. And that is beyond, that comes with that maybe my luck, that maybe just way the timing worked out. But I think the goal and the message is more so that if you're thinking about CCIM and in commercial, even if you're not thinking about CCIM, but if you're thinking about in brokerage general, commercial, residential, doesn't, you understand that you're going to have to sort of start building a network and a relationship for it to sort of pay off. So it's like, think about it in terms of just nurturing those connections, and then may not be this year, may not be next year, may not be 30 from now, but sooner or later, you're going to get them. So
Excellent. And I'll even share personally, I took one-on-one online initially. I did not pass my exams because they give you 5 years. I wish they give you 5 hours to take the exam after the course. And I believe I had some issues technically getting on, and I had 3 hours left before I jumped on. You need the 5 hours to take
yeah.
the exam and finish. Do not shortchange yourself. You need every bit of that amount of time to finish. For me, math does not come easy or quickly like that, right? I have processes in the way that I do math, and one-on-one is heavy in math. And so the 3 hours definitely did not do me justice. So I definitely did have to take it again in person. But speaking to that, retaking the coursework, if people find they have to retake the coursework or they don't pass it for the first time, not to be discouraged about that. They don't have to pay for the whole course again. There is a fee where they can retake a course. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe that's correct. There is a fee, to sort of retake it. And I think you raise an important point, right? Like math may not come easy to a lot of people in that sense, because, or it, like, especially for people that are coming in from just a different industry or different, like this may seem daunting at first. One thing I'll say to sort of ease those concerns is that at the end of the day, it is still like, basic math. Yes, there's like, forecasting 10 years out, whatnot. But I think that if you take the 101 course, for me, that's one of the reasons I was like, I need to take it in person because this is going to be hard for me. And at least when I'm learning with other people, I can learn not only from the instructor, from people that are sitting next to me. And so that was quite helpful. The other thing is that they give you tools like, sort of the CCIM templates. Those are helpful, as you work on deals outside of the coursework. But like if you understand the building blocks of how a real estate transaction works, which is what what the 101 course will give you, it will be easy to, like, once you understand those building blocks, the other coursework and the few, when you're trying to build even more complex models in the real world, those will become a little bit easier. And at the end of the day, I think that we're all sort of in the business, at the end of the day, we're all in the, businessing is to understand how can I take the dollar from my buyer or my client, and how can I give him more than a dollar some years in the future, whether it's next year, 2 years, 3 years down the line. And so that's the thing to keep in mind. And it's like, if they're investing a dollar with me today, how can I give them a dollar, after a certain period of time?
Absolutely. And in commercial, that's why they hire us as advisors for that particular guidance and resulting. We do have a question in the chat. If I'm working on a sale leaseback, do I get credit for two deals, sale and the leaseback, or just one?
Um, as we all know, with all the changes, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the how your fee agreement is negotiated with with your seller usually, or the buyer, right? Generally speaking, if it's a sale leaseback, And depending on who's negotiating, it would essentially be one fee, or at least that's how DL3 has worked, right? We do value it. Doesn't mean we don't value both the sale and the lease back, but it is usually like sort of lumped into one. And that means, the for the lease back portion, the sale may happen today, but for the lease back portion, sometimes the fees are structured that, hey, if there's a termination clause 5 years from now, portion of that fee may be at risk if they terminate, right? But it again comes down to the fee agreement that you've negotiated. And I think that's the direction where most of the transactions are heading.
Gotcha. And if anybody's confused about the portfolio requirements, our wonderful chapter account manager has put the links in the chat. So be sure to save the chat for the curriculum required as well as the portfolio options that you have. Justin, did you have a question? Did you have your hand up?
I did. I have plenty of transactions to submit my portfolio, but I'm a generalist in a small market of Peoria, Illinois. And have you ever served on the board that reviews the portfolio? Because so much of the content on the transaction forms is aimed at really large or complex deals. And in the 30 to 40 deals that I do a year, it's everything from small leases to raw commercial land sales, to maybe our largest transactions are going to be 1.2 to 1.5 million. And so just so much of the content doesn't feel applicable to maybe a 1,000 square foot office or retail space for lease. So I didn't know if you could speak to what a committee is looking for in that portfolio, because the experiences of candidates is going to vary so greatly from retail specialists in the city of Chicago to someone in a rural area like me doing very different types of commercial real estate deals.
Absolutely. And Justin, I think that, so to answer your first question, no, I have not sort of served on the portfolio committee, but I'm sure Sean or others may know more about that. But with regards to what you described to me, I think when I was keeping track of my portfolio, I think that what it sounds from things that you described, I think that there are a lot of probably transactions within the 30 to 40 that you do will probably qualify for the CCIM, towards your CCIM portfolio. You mentioned land investment sales, right? That sort of CCIM. You mentioned leases. Now, obviously, it depends on what types of leases. But if you do a 5-year lease or a 7-year lease or a 10-year lease, that lease is valued, as you know, by brokers over that period of time, obviously with certain caveats. But I would look at your overall value in terms of the transactions you've done as you put together your portfolio. I think there may even be a contact that you could probably speak to specifically regarding your deals about how to organize that for your portfolio at CCIM. Sean, do you know more about that in terms of who would be the right person or the contact for the Illinois chapter on the portfolio?
Sure. What I can do is have a link sent to you, Justin. And as a matter of fact, if we get it before the session ends, we'll put it in the chat. There's a candidate guidance link that we can share with you from the Institute's site overall. And that will give you more detail and insight as to that. I personally have not served on any of those committees, but I am aware of the existence of the guidance candidate piece that helps you with some of those questions. A lot of this gets a little tricky, obviously, with the different types of business that a lot of people do for the qualification purposes, and they kind of help you structure that in a way that it actually qualifies you for the portfolio. So it's definitely not an uncommon question, but that link should give you more direction.
Yep.
Thank you, Justin.
Great question. Yeah.
Excellent question. Did we have another one? Oh, so did we get an answer to if I'm working on a sale? Oh, we just did the sale lease back one. Okay, so that's okay. If you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Raise your hand if it's a little more detailed, like Justin's was. Is there anyone on the call right now that is actually interested in getting their CCIM? Ether, are you raising your hand? Are you trying to speak?
I'm sorry, my mic was off. Yes, I am actually tying up some loose ends on some personal things and other business things, but am very hopeful that I will be able to start with the first class probably towards the end of the year, maybe December.
Do you know where you're taking it at?
No, I actually have been online looking at the different locations and coursework. I talked to Amy, who's my mentor, about it this week. And she did tell me that I do have some options of doing some virtual online classes as well. But just depends on what's being offered at during my time frame and what's feasible.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's in Hawaii, I suggest going to Hawaii. No, I'm just.
Oh, I would love to go to Hawaii. Like I keep a bag packed. It could be a vacation, right? And Lord knows after this
I
year,
thought
I
you were
need
going
to
to say,
go
I suggest
somewhere.
taking your mentor with you.
If it is in Hawaii, I will come along as moral support.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you never know. We're gonna put it out there. You never know what could happen.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Mhm.
And Justin, FYI, our admin did just put the link in the chat for the guidelines for the use of your candidate membership, and it does have that candidacy guide within there. Check that out. Let us know if you have any questions after reviewing that too.
Yeah, and we have our Zane is also from, our current president, Zane, isn't entirely in Chicago. He's actually, in Southern Illinois. Well, Central Illinois, not Southern, Central Illinois. But he is also another good resource. And just like you mentioned, Justin, his group does all kinds of deals from like mechanic shops to like land deals and, multifamily apartment buildings. So he's another resource if you want, that we can connect you with as well.
Perfect. Don't forget to save the chat, guys. All those links in there are helpful for your pathway towards the PIN. And I tell you what, even if you're not even thinking of getting the PIN just yet, this is some amazing educational coursework. Okay. There are also scholarships available that we have on our website. Cynthia, if you could pop that link in there as well. Those scholarships help offset the cost of these courses. And then you can have this information in support of your actual commercial journey, right? So that's what they're obviously for. The coursework is there to teach you the commercial pathways, right? Some of the glossaries, the terms, the practical analysis, the math of it all. These are helpful courses for you to even do that. There also is, and I may be speaking prematurely, but I'm going to put it out there because I feel very confident about it. National Association of Realtors has a partnership with, I believe, Columbia College now. It used to be Roosevelt University, with Columbia College now. And when you take go to take your get your real estate master's, a master's in real estate, there are some courses that it will actually substitute for when you take those courses at Columbia. So check into that as well. And I believe you would find more information about that on the National Association of Realtors site about what those courseworks are that it would actually substitute for, and then you come out with your master's. That's a huge, to me, a huge benefit and a savings, in fact, along with an additional benefit of becoming a master's in real estate, getting a master's in real estate. But checking into all these options, the scholarships on our website, which she popped it in there. Thank you so much, Cynthia. The link is there for scholarships that apply to specific coursework that you're taking. There are deadlines to the scholarships. They are rolling, but they do have deadlines. So be sure to be mindful of that as well. Get those in. There's a committee with our chapter that actually looks over those scholarships and makes the decision, and then you're able to apply it when you check out and purchase your coursework. So I would not purchase it prior to getting an answer to the scholarship from the scholarship committee. Okay. Was anyone on here not aware of there being scholarships? What we want to do is ensure that in addition to these CCIM chats, we're rolling information out to you guys in the Facebook groups, in the emails, and making sure that you guys are seeing this detail. Was there anyone on here who was not aware that we had scholarships for these courses?
We have a question too from Terry.
I'm hoping the answer is we all knew. I'm trying to see the question. I don't see the question.
She's got her hand raised. Terry?
Oh, okay,
So-
perfect.
Okay, sorry about that. And I know you guys talked about the portfolio. So is it so many deals or is it the amount of I always thought it was like you had to get like 10 million, or is it 10 deals?
So I think
know-
there's three of them. There's three different ways that you can get it to your portfolio. One of the ones, I think that there's like 20 transactions, no dollar amount. Obviously commercial transactions, right?
Right.
So like multifamily, land, like Justin mentioned, leasing, office leasing, retail leasing, all of that. So 20 deals, no dollar amount. Then there's another one, 10 deals with like a total dollar amount. I think it's probably in one of these in the curriculum link or something to that effect. Let's see if I can quickly find it online.
Yeah, I'm actually pulling it up too. It's in that portfolio link that is in the chat.
In the
Got
chat?
it.
Okay.
Yep. And then of course there's multiple pathways to it as well. Like I know that some of there may be people that already have like a SIOR designation, right? Or CPM, like a certified property manager designation. So if you have one of those designations, there's a different pathway for you too. But for a traditional portfolio, I think that 20 transactions total, then there's 10 transactions with like a $25 million total amount. And then there's like 3 transactions for like a 40 million or something to that like total. So I think the candidate guidance is another source as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And actually, the link that's in here, we'll get you an updated link. The link in here for the portfolio is actually for the portfolio management course, which they have as well. That's a good find as well. Their scholarship can apply towards that. Also, one of the scholarships, not all of them, but we will get you the link to the actual portfolio. It's actually in your handbook that you received as well. Everyone received a handbook, mentees. Everyone received a handbook for the mentorship program, and the link for the portfolio is in that handbook as well. Thank you, Chirayu. And he just
Yeah, that's just a brief summary. The handbook, as you mentioned, explains it, including the other things like, hey, if I already have a SIOR designation, or if I'm already a certified property management designation, but that's just a very brief summary.
perfect. Thank you. It's great.
I'll just hop in here. The reason for, if anyone is wondering about if you have these other designations, why would that put you on a different path? Each of those designations also already have a minimum transaction level in order to qualify for them. So that's why that will put you on a fast track for the PIN. So just wanted to put that out there as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Good point. Thanks, Amy. Great point. And everyone is able to access their handbook. Okay, correct? Make sure you reference that quickly, frequently, because it has a lot of good and helpful information in there for you on your journey in this mentorship program, in addition to your amazing mentors as well.
Absolutely.
Any more questions? No one has anything to ask our president-elect Chirayu while he's here? Chirayu, why did you want to become president of CCIM?
Part of the reason is that, obviously that, Zane and Mike Williamson, all of course, reached out to me as well. But I think part of the thing is that for me, this has been a great learning experience of how commercial real estate sort of at least works in Chicago, Illinois area, and is connect with people, including like people that are already doing transactions on this call, right? Is to be able to connect on just like how do deals work, how to look at commercial deals specifically, and to do more deals, obviously, in terms of from to gain experience. I'm still like sort of, I've worked on redevelopment deals as well as like tax credit deals. And I think the goal here is to just understand different um, commercial deals that happen in the Chicago metro area and how I can work with other people that are on here too. You never know where your next deal comes from, right? I think as we know from brokerage. So I think that was one of the primary reasons I'm not taking on CCIM leadership.
Love that. Well, we're so glad you chose CCIM.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I have a question. This is O'Neill, Washington. Wanted to find out what's the time frame associated with the dollar amounts for one of those three paths that you listed, the summary.
I think it's 5. I'm not, is there a time frame? But I thought it was like within, like it's gotta be at least within the 5
It's got to be within 5 years of finishing the courses.
of finishing the courses. Gotcha.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah,
I
I think
believe
that
you're right.
sounds correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the total dollar amount associated with it, I mean, if you were paying out of pocket for all of the courses and not maybe taking advantage of some of the scholarships and things like that, you're probably between $11,000 and $15,000. Do you think that's
Accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really kind of considered an equivalent to an MBA in commercial real estate.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about the cost, it's certainly significant. It's not insignificant, but it is an investment in your career, and one that, when you look at it from that perspective, it is quite affordable in comparison of going back to get an MBA, if that's something that you were considering. So that's just a little plug for that.
No, I want to emphasize that piece specifically, right? Because I think Amy, for me at least, as I was saying that, yes, I was doing like some modeling before I started the coursework at CCIM, but the CCIM coursework gave me sort of the why behind it, right? And of course, some of the building blocks of that math to really understand, okay, what it is. Once you have that basic understanding of that building blocks of that commercial math, then you understand, okay, I can modify it for this specific deal, or I can use it for this specific deal. And you also get templates like some of you maybe like may already work for a company, right? And the real estate question might come up. Hey, we've been leasing this place for 5 years. They're offering us a renewal. Should we lease or should we buy? If we can buy it for X dollars, right? So to be able to really put the numbers behind why you're arguing, even or not arguing, but making the case, even at your own company, should we keep leasing here or should we buy a space and for our company?
And to your point, our company actually just recently renegotiated our lease, and they did reach out to us commercial agents for some of that support. So that was a good point to make. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're at 12:42. Ordinarily, our Q&A is at the end, but we got it out of the way already. If there are no other questions or no one has anything else to contribute to this conversation, I'll give it a few seconds just in case you think of something.
Hi, I just have one question. This is Kunde Asaraja. I'm actually currently pursuing my CCIM, so I really appreciate the insights that you've shared. One of the things that I've, been wanting to do a little bit more of is the networking piece of CCIM. and recognizing that, I'm newer into the industry. So, I guess my ability to bring a deal or, have traction on something is less than someone who's been in the industry for a while. So, how would you recommend someone like me, being able to just offer something? Maybe it's not a deal, but maybe it's like volunteering, or how can I get my name out there and sort of break into the networking space a little bit more, just to think it.
Certainly. So, if are you currently working at a organization or a company or?
Yes, I work in commercial brokerage.
Oh, you do work in commercial brokerage. Excellent. So I think part of, one of the things, you mentioned is sort of like how you may not be able to bring deals, but I think that what I focused on early on in my career was that and my position, like I started as an asset manager. So like I would oversee sort of the before DL3, I used to work for a company that used to do multifamily, so apartment investing. So where I focused on there was managing and operating those assets from the financial perspective, right? So it's like to underwrite like improvements, for example, like if we were to renovate the units, what kind of rents we would get in the future. How would that affect the value of the property? How could we possibly refinance at more favorable terms? And so what I would, at least if you are, I mean, if you want to, if you're already at a brokerage, you may have those opportunities if your brokerage is also doing management of it, investments as well. The other piece I would say is, of course, networking with CCIM events, right? Going to some of the CCIM events as well, and other community events, right? Like local chamber of commerce is another example. Talking to business owners that are already leasing or owning property in the target market that you already serve. Just having a coffee or conversation with them as to how you can be their real estate counselor.
And may I add to that, being a part of the mentorship program, one of the requirements is becoming a chapter member, which is offered complimentary to you all. So if you have not done that, I don't know what you're waiting for, because you got a plethora of chapter members that you can also connect with and, take out to lunch, pick their brains. You never know, there may be a transaction out of that or just a lifelong relationship. But get into relationship with your chapter, and then you have an extension of resources there as well.
So I have a question, and I'm newly licensed. I just took the exam. I have no broker, no experience. I work in healthcare quality improvement, and there's just so much selling in the healthcare industry. I work specifically with nursing homes now, and that's why I got into this. I want to know more about that part of the business because it's just rapid fire. So does this organization help with it? Because I want to specialize with healthcare only. Could this organization help with something like that?
Oh yeah, I think that from the perspective of you just starting your career, you're in a place where the pen is not attainable right now. That's,
yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm a ways off from that.
But that is okay. So what is very valuable in regard to the chapter itself is just the network of people that you are able to have access to. And especially when it comes to healthcare real estate, it's one of the hottest sectors, has been for a few years, okay, and will continue to be for the foreseeable future. So to be able to talk with someone that has a depth of and breadth of experience in that,
that's what I'm looking for. Yep.
To be able to take the classes that give you a foundational understanding of what people are talking about, because there are courses that don't have anything to do with the pen. There are a ton of webinars that CCIM does, just informational, practical application, everyday education that they provide. And those are much more affordable. They are, I want to say for chapter members, are they like $150 to $300, depending upon what the class is?
Yeah, like the one that just popped in there for portfolio management, that one was like $299 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's an excellent way to really accelerate your learning, because this is top-notch education. A lot of people who come into commercial real estate learn by fire, and they often also learn by people doing residential real estate. I cannot encourage you more that if you want to focus on commercial real estate, you need to work with commercial practitioners.
Okay.
Because it is not the same. And I
yeah.
know that there are dual career experts on the phone, and that is perfectly fine. But for somebody just starting out and you know you want to do commercial,
That's
align
right.
yourself with a commercial practitioner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And be mindful of the requirements of the brokerage that you're with also. The brokerage may have different requirements for the time frame in which you can actually begin doing commercial. I won't name it, but they're blue. They actually do not even allow their agents to do commercial unless they take some type of certified training through a tertiary person or company or CCIM or something like that. And then they have to practice for 2 years, and then they can get their, commercial skills, or if you will, commercial deals, I'm sorry.
And we're on the other side of that coin. So we don't allow our practitioners to practice residential real estate,
Yep.
because that's
Yep.
not our area of
Expertise.
Yeah.
And the client would suffer from that. So
Right.
Yeah. The other thing, Nell, you're already coming, to me, you're already coming from healthcare management. Is that like nursing home care management?
Yes, I work at healthcare quality improvement.
Gotcha. So I would focus on the real estate managers of those nursing homes, or, operators and whatnot. Like, I would connect, because, for example, for a nursing home, I know like medical clinics, right? But if you ask me anything about nursing home real estate, I wouldn't have a clue. So like I would like that's your niche, right? So I would remember that, and I would focus on like how are those companies working, and what are some of those companies that are players that you'd be like, oh, I'd like to work there, or like understand how they work on those transactions. I would try to find a company or an organization where you can provide that value, because you do have experience in terms of like quality improvement and how they can better run those operations.
That's correct. That is my niche.
And it is
okay. Go ahead.
I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. Please go ahead.
No, that was my next question. Is now I need to. How do I identify the brokers that specialize in healthcare? And I've just been doing internet searches for it. So
Sure.
Any guidance on how to find them?
I'm happy to. I do have some connections in the healthcare space. If you'd like to talk separately, I'm happy to do that. That is exactly what I was going to say, is that by using the CCIM network and asking the questions of who do I need to be connected to? Who do I need to be talking with in this space to be able to start my career? That's the value of CCIM, and not the only, of course, only value, but that is one of the tremendous values of CCIM.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Where are you located now? Where are you?
I work remotely, and I'm in Wooddale, Illinois. It's by Schaumburg, Elmhurst, right in that little niche. Addison.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
You are very close to where I am at, so I'm happy to meet for coffee. But I dropped my email into the chat, and happy to talk with you.
Thank you, Amy. I will be reaching out to you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Good job. See that? That's how it works now. See that?
Yeah, that's essentially how it starts.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just luck. I came up on this. I was doing an internet search, and this came up, and it was meeting today. And I'm like, oh, I'll just join at lunch and see. It just really worked out well.
Yeah.
Love it when things fall in place like that. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you to our account manager, Cynthia, for exposing our event in the proper way for you to find it. So wonderful. And we wish you back next month. We will be having a speaker next month as well. That'll be announced shortly. So now that we have your information, you'll be on the list to receive that information.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you for joining. Any other questions? Anyone else? Chirayu, any last words?
No, thank you for having me. You know, Sean and Amy really sort of lead our sort of, I think, an important part of our organization, which is sort of, you know, expanding sort of our membership and including, because, you know, now like people like you have the skill set that might open up other deals in the healthcare space. And that's what CCIM is about, right? And so really appreciate the leadership of Amy and Sean on the DEI committee and the mentorship, you know, piece of our organization. So thank you.
And thank
Thank
you. We
you.
appreciate your time and your expertise in sharing this information with us.
Okay.
All right, everyone, you guys have a fantastic time. Thank you for your claps, Amy. How cute is that? Thank you so much. I put the mentorship email in the chat as well. If you have questions about the mentorship program, whether it's next year's cohort, if you got a question even now about anything, everyone has cross information to everyone's mentor. You are not to reach out to each other's mentors about every single thing, every single time, but you do have that as a connected resource as well, because they do have different specialties that your mentor may not have, and you have that opportunity to reach out with information in those areas as well. But you and your mentors, hopefully you are having a great time connecting in this program. We're looking forward to your feedback. So look in the emails for those surveys and be sure to complete those so we can continue to provide great programming for you guys. Thanks, everyone.